Welcome to Connect, the monthly series to connect you with your community. In each episode, we speak with experts, innovators, and community members and explore themes of loneliness, social connections, and healthy aging across Massachusetts. I'm your host, Sandra Harris, the state president for AARP Massachusetts and co-leader of the Massachusetts Coalition to Build Community and End Loneliness. Finding meaning and purpose as we age is a necessary, ongoing, and dynamic process. It involves staying open to new experiences, maintaining a curious and engaged mindset, continuously reflecting on what brings joy and fulfillment, and seeking opportunities to share our passion and interest with others. It's about adapting to life's changes as we age, while staying true to our core values and passions. However, as we age, the quest for meaning and purpose can take on new dimensions, influenced by life transitions, changes in physical and cognitive abilities, and shifts in social roles. However, finding meaning and purpose in life is a powerful way to combat loneliness, but it requires proactive steps to engage with the world and connect with others. Here, sharing strategies and considerations for maintaining a sense of meaning and purpose in later life is Dr. Katharine Esty, a social psychologist, psychotherapist, a best-selling author, and an activist for aging well. Her latest book, 80-Somethings, A Practical Guide to Letting Go, Aging Well, and Finding Unexpected Happiness, is considered an invaluable guide to living fulfilled, happy lives long into our twilight years. Welcome, Dr. Esty. We're happy to have you join us.
Well, Sandra, I am delighted to be here, and hello to all of you who are watching.
Okay, good. Katharine, tell us a bit about yourself and your career path.
Yes, well, I think the thing to understand about me is that I have constantly changed careers. I started out as a mom and for 10 years, and then I kind of became a social worker and a psychotherapist, and then I went back to graduate school and got a PhD at 50 and started a new business, and then left social work really and started working with corporations and UN agencies. And with that business, I kind of got taken to the parts of the world I'd never seen. I worked in Bangladesh and Ethiopia and Jordan and countries like that. It was amazing. And then I went back to psychotherapy and had a private practice. And all that time I was writing. And But I have written books since I was starting when I was 30. And so have had many careers. And I think what makes me unique and maybe in a way different than everybody is that I did I kind of felt it was never too late to try something different and changed what I was doing. And that's been the story of my life and my career.
Oh, what a meaningful life. You've had so many opportunities to reimagine life.
Yeah.
How did you get interested in aging well?
Well, I think for me, it was really sparked by an event in my life. I had this moment when it all hit me, the issues of aging. I was taking a hike with my grandkids, and we were going up this small mountain that I'd climbed many, many years. But that year, it had rained the night before. I fell a couple of times. And when I got to the steep part, where you have to grasp onto roots and things like that, I just realized I couldn't make it. And so I sat down, and everybody else, one of my sons stayed with me, but I sat down on a stump, and I kind of confronted, I am aging, and I can't do all the things. I can't be the super grandma that I was trying to be. And so I realized that I was going to have to face this, and I kind of went into a funk, but that was the moment of change. That was the aha moment that I was going to have to be different and reinvent myself again.
Oh, wonderful. While writing 80-something, you interviewed over 120 people over the age of 80 and some of their adult children. Why the interviews, and what were your major findings?
Well, the interviews came out of just what we were talking about, that time sitting on a stump. I realized that I was, as I kind of thought about it in the days afterwards, I was just 80 at that point, that I was kind of challenged to find out some people must understand how to do this aging business, how to flourish, how to enjoy your life. And I thought, I'm kind of stumped right now. So I think I do know how to interview people. So I thought I'm going to interview some people and see what they know about aging. And if I interview enough people, I'll probably know something about what it's like to age. And so that's what I did. Okay. My major findings were, I wasn't sure what I was going to find, but what I found was incredible. I found that many people in their 80s are happy. And that is such a surprise. Because as I always say, none of us have gone around saying, oh, I just can't wait to be 80. So what I found out, that there were many different ways of aging. People are different. But that first of all, they're happy, and other scientists, social scientists, have backed up that same kind of thing.
So what did you learn from the adult children?
Well, I learned from the adult children that they didn't understand their 80-year-old. They're kind of very fussy, more worried, in many of them, about their parents. And I learned about the 80-year-olds that there was just lots of ways, good ways, of being in your 80s, and that the major thing was most people in their 80s are pain-free and are leading active lives. They may have some issues, but and that people don't understand that. They think it's going to be all decline. And so there's really a story to tell here about old age. It's not the same as it was for our grandparents, which is where we learned what aging was like. So for us, we all have to relearn, because it's the aging today. And so what I tried to do is show and first learn what aging today is like, and then tell people about it.
Were there any surprises?
Oh yeah, I think that it was filled with surprises. The surprise about the happiness, surprise about the unexpected. That nobody got it right. They all were expecting to decline, but there was also the incredible variation of things that people were doing. I interviewed people in all parts of the country, rich and poor, black and white. And found that the story, the good news story, it was repeated in every kind of different people, except I think that in our country there is the scandal of people that don't have enough money. And so I did not interview people that were, I did interview people that were hard up financially, but I didn't really emphasize poverty or the issues. And I kept thinking, that's a whole nother book, but I haven't had that. My book was looking for the examples of what people were doing that helped them to flourish.
Okay. I'm sure that with the groups that you interviewed, there were some that you found that were aging well and some who were not. Were you able to detect any differences in the lifestyle or behavior of those who were aging well and those who were not aging as well?
Right. Well, I think that the ones that I saw that didn't age so well were people that were disconnected from their families, and also some people interviewed a number of people in skilled nursing homes, and that as a population is less content than others. But even they find some good news. I always think of one guy who was he had 6 children, and most of them wouldn't speak to him. He said he hated the food where he was, and he was only eating potatoes. And then he said, but his pleasure was going to the doctor, of all things. And he said, what's so great about it is I can smoke, because they take me in a car in a taxi or whatever, a driver to the doctor, and I can smoke, and that's my pleasure now. But he was really an exception. Most people the people that were doing well had lots of connections in their communities. They were active in the Council on Aging. They had families. They had things they enjoyed. They had purposes.
And we're seeing a lot of research that talks about the power of connections and staying connected, so I'm not surprised. This work started in your 80s.
Yeah.
And Katharine, you're now 90.
Almost. Oh, no.
Almost 90.
Well, my birthday is 6 days from today.
Oh, wonderful. We have something to celebrate in 6 days.
Yeah.
So what is your purpose now as you see it, and what would you say to your younger self?
Okay, so my purpose is I found that what I was really excited by, well, I like writing, and I write a blog every month, and I've written my book, and so that's one of the things that I'm doing now. But my purpose is to get out this good news about aging. I think that our culture in America, we kind of are youth-focused, and we kind of dismiss older people, and we can see it now in our culture is really thinking about what does it mean to be old, and is there limits to what you can do, and of course there are limits that we can't keep going. Like I found on my Cat Mountain expedition, you can't keep doing everything you did, and I mean I think for everyone in their 80s or 70s. Or 60s, that they need to keep asking that question, what is my purpose now? And somebody says, every 10 years we are a different person. And so it's not like at any point you can just say, I am this and I'll go through it. We really need to be constantly evolving and reinventing ourselves.
What advice do you give to those of us who are retired and over 65 and looking for ways to bring meaning and purpose to our lives?
Yeah, well, that is a great question, and I think the answer is to start asking the questions. And the question to ask is, what do I enjoy most? When do I feel like I'm really being me, that I'm being my authentic self? When do I lose myself in what I'm doing? What is it that just grabs me like that? And that changes over time, but I think it needs to change so that. But if they answer that question, it begins to give people a clue to what kind of activity they need to do.
Katharine, so many times I find people, especially retirees, who seem to forget about all the wisdom and that has come as a result of their experiences. How does one embrace their wisdom?
Well, I think that I think it's being engaged in their life to sort of figure out what they are enjoying now, which may be different. So I don't think we usually. I think my book helps people to understand that life is different in the 80s, and there are transitions, and there are issues, and so somehow our culture doesn't really help us with that. I mean, I think we should, as a culture, we need to prepare people better. And I would think that one of my kind of crazy ideas is I think we should have classes that are for people when you hit 70 and 80 and 90, and it would be expected that people would go to this class on aging well, and aging well now, and aging well now when you're 8, and helping people to talk through with other people, that's where they could get examples of, maybe an 8-week course or something like that.
Okay, that's
I may have to wait for a while for that to happen.
So there's something to look forward to in your next 10 years, right? We're constantly talking about the importance of maintaining connections and relationships, and how important that is to well-being. We've all experienced this pandemic, and we all know now what loneliness and social isolation feels like. So how did the pandemic change your thinking about aging and relationships?
Well, I kind of was thinking about it anyway, but it certainly drove home just the importance that we are social animals. And, I was in a place which we were kind of in our rooms for about 8 weeks where we weren't supposed to go out. And I I had a partner, so I was at least had some company, but there were many that were alone. And I think I learned, and people in the towns around me in Massachusetts, I mean, the number of people that died, and I think it was, I think we died because part of it is that we need each other to live happily, and it's just, so that was just so clear. I think we'll never do the same thing again. I think we'll keep kids going to school because they need that so badly, and we'll keep ourselves. I mean, I think we need to see our families. For me, I learned, you know, I have one son that lives close by, and in the next town over, but they were very cautious. They said, we don't want our kids to give you the grandkids to. We would be so unhappy if they gave you COVID and they're going to school every day, or they are seeing kids every. So they didn't encourage me to come over. Or finally they started saying, well, let's go out and we'll go out in the porch or the driveway. We used to go over and sit in the driveway. They'd set up chairs, and I learned that we need to make way for that for everybody. That connection to our families and our friends is just so life-giving that we need to protect it at all costs.
Yeah. I think it's important to remember that this connections that we're talking about, we're now calling social health, right?
Yeah.
And that you can have physical health and good mental health, but you also need social health, which has somewhat been missing from the language of well-being. So I think for a lot of people, what we've learned in the pandemic is social health is so important.
Right, and in fact, we are really learning the interconnection of mind and body, which the doctors kind of have never put that in the front, and I think now we see it. I'm a psychologist, so I've always seen that it's, you know, that there's a huge connection.
Sure.
And in fact, we even find, you know, that our attitudes shape everything, so that it's really important that having a good attitude is part of having good health. Right. I learned, and part of the good news I have is there's one social psychologist, Becca Levy, who found out that people that had favorable attitudes about aging, they kind of didn't think of it's all decline and dreading it so much, but they really had good experiences with it and were more happy about didn't feel the despair that so many people about aging. That though they lived 7.6 years longer than people that had didn't have good attitudes about aging. So our attitudes and our connections with people really are so powerful in creating our sense of well-being. It's not in the cards that you'll be unhappy or something like that, that we do have a lot of control over that.
Right. You talk a lot about the importance of contributing to society and a better future. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, this one I've thought about a long time ago. I went years and years ago to Israel and visited a kibbutz, and it was so interesting that this was a community, and it was a community where it was cooperative, and so everybody shared the work. And I learned that in that kibbutz, everybody, no matter how old they were, they could be 95, and they were still given some work of either setting tables or doing the dishes or whatever. And they said that they had learned that this is what led to people feeling good. And I learned then that people want to contribute. And so we make a huge mistake when we have people retired and then say, oh no, you rest, you don't need to do anything. I think people at all ages it's part of the wholeness of life to contribute to others. I mean, I had another funny example. Just the other day, I had a guest came from out of town, and she was on a walker and was in much worse shape than me. But she came in and she had a backpack and a suitcase that she got out of a car, and I said, "Can I take the backpack?" She said, "No, I'll do it all." And I talked about her later. I said, why here I was? You wanted to take both, and I was carrying nothing. And she said, "Well, I don't want to be a bother to anyone. I want to help you." So people don't want to be taken care of when they don't need to, of course.
Okay, good. The Surgeon General has just issued, or a year ago issued, an advisory proclaiming loneliness and social isolation as a public health crisis. And we see the research of loneliness on older adults, but we also see the research on the fact that Gen Z is the most lonely in terms of in that cohort.
Yeah.
So if you were declared the nation's loneliness minister, what would you do?
Well, that would be a big job, and I would say, wow. But then if I had to seriously think about it, my thoughts are that really our society, I would first of all want to have everyone, I would issue a warning the way we've done on cigarettes. I'd really want to stress the warnings of being on the phones all the time. I'd want to kind of really have a national campaign to turn off the phones, because I think if people are lonely because they isolate themselves. You even see two people sitting at they're out to dinner, and they're each one looking at their phone. It's sort of crazy. We've lost the art of connecting by normal conversation. So that's one thing I do. But, I would put out the ideas. I think that some people are thinking our culture is crazy because we have education is for the youth, work is for the people in the middle, like 21 to 65 or whatever, and then vacation and enjoyment for the older people. But you can't have total engagement and total vacation for, you can't be retired and play for 40 years. Most people can't. So we need to mix it up a little more. So the young people need to do a little more work. We found out how good it is for them to have internships and things like that. And the middle people they're the ones that are so tired now in our society. They're doing all the work, and they've got kids, and they've got parents, and they've got work, and they have no time for themselves. They really miss out on friendship, which is very sad, because one of my things is I think how important friends are. But anyway, and then older people, we've learned that we can keep on learning. One of the major things we know now, the good news is our brains don't go dead at all. Our brains, we can still learn. We may be a little slower on the technology and things, but we can learn, and we can learn new languages and so on. So we should be learning more. We should be working more, and vacation in moderation. So I think we do need to reorder now. I don't think maybe not the Minister of Loneliness can't do all that, but I do have big pictured ideas here, and I wanted to share with you a little of my big sky thinking.
Okay, good. If you ever decided you'd like to take on that position, I'll be highly recommending you.
Oh, thank you.
Katharine, before we leave, why don't you speak to our audience and share a few guidelines on what makes a good life after 70?
Good. I'd like to do that because I think about that a lot, and I have changed, evolved, and what I'm seeing is important, and some things that I didn't know about years ago. But I do think that the number one, I think, is your attitude toward aging. So I think that we all have to stop dreading it and kind of learn that our brains are doing well. We're going to be all right, and that it's not the same as it was in the past. So I think we have to have a positive attitude. And I think one of the things that people don't know is that you can, in fact, choose your attitude. So you don't need to say, well, I'm in a dumps today. So the first is to choose a positive attitude. And then I think we've talked about it here, finding a purpose for yourself. And so a guideline is to know what your purpose is, and if you don't know what it is, to take some time to ask those questions about and to really realize what engages you. And then, of course, another guideline for everybody, no matter what age, is to connect with family and friends. And one of my things is family is always central. But when you're the good life, there's time when you're older to have friends, and friends, there's enormous richness when you have time to keep those and cultivate those friendships. So, and the other thing maybe is that people, I say you need to take control of what you can control and let go of the rest. So the control you can take about is we should all be doing it, going to our doctor, exercising, eating healthy, all of that. And there's an amazing number of people that just say, well, I don't go to the dentist, or I don't need to go to the doctor for that. So it's a real issue. And the letting go then is learning how to let go, which is a hard lesson, but I'm a great advocate of meditation as a way to kind of renew and refresh and give deep positive energy. So I myself try to meditate every day for 15 minutes at least. I don't always make it, but I have learned so much on how to relax, because I was a go-getter, and one of the things I'm trying to do as I age is to, take some time off, learn how to rest, learn the importance of pausing. And so I think that those are a few of the guidelines I have.
Spoken from an expert, right?
Right.
Good.
Well, I certainly have the years of experience.
Good. Katharine, on behalf of all of us who continue to be blessed by your wisdom, your advocacy, and your goodness, I wish you a happy 90th birthday. May you have many more. Thank you for spending this time with us today, and you're always welcome back to Connect.
Well, thank you. I hope I can come back. That'd be great again. And it's been very fun to talk with you. So
Good.
Thank you so much.
Good. And thanks to you, our audience. We hope to have inspired you to embrace your wisdom, to remain curious at meaning and purpose to your lives, and then find ways to give it back to your community. We invite you to encourage your local community to join us in celebrating National Good Neighbor Day on September 28th, a special day dedicated to building stronger, more connected communities across the Commonwealth. You can learn more about Good Neighbor Day of Action in Massachusetts by visiting our website. And as always, we invite you to join us again next month for another episode of Connect. Until then, reach out and stay connected to those you love, your friends and your neighbors, especially those living alone. Visit us at inlonelinessma.com to watch past episodes of Connect, to learn more about the coalition, and find ways you can join the movement helping to alleviate loneliness and promote healthy aging in Massachusetts.
September 28th is Good Neighbor Day of Action here in Massachusetts. We invite you to celebrate with your neighbors. Use the excuse to get to know each other. This is so important as a source of resilience, connection, and good feelings. You could invite people over to your house for a barbecue, partner with the local library or fire station to send out an invitation and invite people to gather together. Whatever it might be, I invite you to use this opportunity to connect. Check out endlonelinessma.com for ideas and inspiration.